Salam sejahtera and a very good morning to everyone. A warm welcome to all participants from Malaysia, the IMR-SEAMEO network, and the country affiliated to the IMR-SEAMEO Webinar Sessions 2024. My name is Terence, the head of Integrative Health Information Unit, and will be the moderator for today's session. Before we begin with the presentations, allow me to announce a few housekeeping messages from the Secretariat. The participants may post their questions using the link provided in the YouTube channel. The question and answer session will be conducted after both presentations have ended. An attendance link will also be provided in the YouTube channel for those who want to receive an e-certificate of attendance. And please support our YouTube channel by subscribing to the National Institutes of Health Malaysia and click on the notifications to be notified on any new posts. Ladies and gentlemen, we are having a special session today with the team Upholding the Malay Traditional Knowledge of Natural Resources. Our presenters today are dedicated researchers from the Institute for Medical Research and Forest Research Institute, Malaysia. Before I introduce the speakers, let me give a short introduction about our Integrative Health Information Unit. So this is a brief introduction to our unit. Our unit, which is under the Herbal Medicine Research Center of our institute, is dedicated to gathering and disseminating validated information on medicinal plants towards the establishment of integrated medicine. Therefore, our units have about 5 job scopes of identities, which is the Rapid Response, the GlobiMed website, the Malaysian Herbal Monograph Project, the I'm Evidence training, as well as the traditional knowledge documentation. I'll start off first with the rapid response. Usually, our unit will receive inquiries from the stakeholders, where we usually focus on the herbal or traditional and complementary therapies, and we will perform a rapid literature search or systematic literature search within a duration of time given to produce either a technical report in the form of an infographic or review publications in the hope to support the decision-making, press release statements, and policy changes of our stakeholders. Secondly, our unit also have a free access website known as Global Information Hub on Integrated Medicine with the URL www.globimed.com, which strives to be a credible provider of updated evidence-based medicine information on traditional and complementary medicine towards the establishment of integrated medicine. Please support our website by registering. It's free, as I've said, and it contains 12 different scopes catered to different target groups, which we compile all evidence-based information globally. As for the third identity, we have a Malaysian Herbal Monograph Project, which we work together in IMR with the Phytochemistry Unit and the Good Laboratory Practicing Section, together with another 7 agencies funded by the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Safety. The Malaysian Herbal Monograph is actually a quality control document to authenticate the herbal raw materials in compliance with the general international requirements, and is a part of a product preparation for high-value herbal products. And the fourth identity is the Integrated Medicine I'm Evidence training. Our unit has been providing this training to the Ministry of Health staff for the 11th year, which we started in 2013. We conduct this annually to provide exposure and guidance to staff on preparing quality review papers. So that's my brief introduction of my unit. And for the fifth identity, which is the traditional knowledge studies, you'll get the opportunity today to hear more on this webinar series, which aims to give exposure on the importance of preserving and conserving traditional knowledge practices in proper and accessible forms. Ladies and gentlemen, for today's webinar, we have two distinguished speakers. I'll start off with the first speaker, which is Dr. Fadzureena Jamaludin, who is a Senior Research Officer and the Head of Bioresources Program under Natural Product Division, Forest Research Institute, Malaysia. She holds a PhD in Natural Product Chemistry from the University Putra, Malaysia. Her research area of interest is natural products focusing on anti-inflammatory properties of medicinal plants. As the head of Bioresources Program, her team has conducted research related to ethnobotany and traditional knowledge, indigenous and local communities. Apart from being involved in more than 20 research projects and 4 consultation projects related to the field of study, Dr. Fadzureena is also involved in the National Technical Committee of Memorandum of Understanding between FRIM and Department of Orang Asli Affairs, and also the main committee of Malaysia's Natural Product Society. She has more than 10 patents or information disclosure and recently received a bronze medal at the Seoul International Invention Fair in Korea for her Gautri product. Nevertheless, Dr. Fadzureena has more than 20 publications, either in peer-reviewed journal or books, and has been an invited or expert to share her knowledge in access benefit sharing framework, traditional knowledge, sustainable management protocols for medicinal plants, and intellectual property awareness on traditional herbs. For today, we are honored to have Dr. Fadzureena to share her research experience with us on the titled Comprehensive Documentation of Malay Traditional Knowledge on Medicinal Plants in Peninsular Malaysia. Dr. Fadzureena, the screen is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Mr. Terence, as the moderator for today. And thank you, IMR-SEAMEO, for inviting me to share some experience on FRIM's project on documentation of Malay traditional knowledge on medicinal plants in Peninsular Malaysia. So just what Mr. Terence introduced myself, I am Fadzureena Jamaludin, Senior Officer from Forest Research Institute of Malaysia. So my significant projects related to medicinal plant and traditional knowledge documentation as listed below. And one of the biggest project is on comprehensive documentation of Malay traditional knowledge on medicinal plant in Peninsular Malaysia that I'll be sharing today with all of the members on the floor. Just to recap, what is we keep on saying traditional knowledge, and traditional knowledge. So what is actually traditional knowledge? Traditional knowledge, or TK, is a knowledge, know-how, skills, and practices that are developed, sustained, and passed on from generation to generation within a community, often forming parts of its cultural or spiritual identity. So it is very important to protect the TK. So how to protect and why we need to protect it? So there is 2 types of protection. So one of it is a defensive protection that involves the documentation. That is what FRIMS is focusing on. Other than that, there will be database under the MyIPO, they call it MyTKDL. And the other types of protection will be positive protection. This is very important as well. It involves legal instruments for in Malaysia. There's a law that under this positive protection that calls ABS law that I'll be introduced to you later on. So why we need to protect the TK? So first and very important aspect is to avoid misappropriation and to prevent biopiracy. So meaning to say that it is very important to protect it, to make sure that it's not the TK will not be just degrade just like that, and we don't protect it. Okay, so it's actually Malaysia obligation under CBD, or CBD is the Convention on Biological Diversity is the international legal instrument for the conservation of biological diversity, the sustainable use of its components, and the fair and equitable sharing of the benefit arising out of the utilization of the genetic resources that has been ratified by 196 nations. So it's actually a Malaysia obligation to this convention as well as the Nagoya Protocol, and recently we have already have law in place, the Act of 795. So the law called Access to Biological Resources and Benefit Sharing Act. Okay, so Malaysia and CBD. So CBD, Convention on Biological Diversity, and Malaysia. Convention itself is already established in 1992. So Malaysia has been ratified under CBD on 24th June of 1994. So the focal point is the Ministry of Natural Resources and Environmental Sustainability. Now, CBD already have 169 countries. So Malaysia, as a country of under CBDs, we need to follow the rules and to make sure that and to report to the CBD. So the objective, three main objective of CBD that we need to follow is, the first is the conservation of biological diversity, the sustainable use of the components of the biological diversity, and finally the fair and equitable sharing of the benefit that arise from the utilization. That is what TK comes to this fair and equitable sharing, where we utilize the medicinal plant or the genetic resources from the TK itself. Okay, so this is quite technical because I need to stress on what is in the CBD, the Article 8J that focus to we need to respect, preserve, and maintain the knowledge, innovation, and practices of the indigenous and local community. In this case of study is Malay community. So we need to conserve and the sustainable use of the biological diversity to promote their wider application with the approval and the involvement of the holder. Means we need to have the consent of the holder, and to make sure that the holder of the TK involved in the process, and finally to make sure that there is the equitable sharings of the benefits arising from the utilization of such knowledge, innovation, or any practices. So this article is very important on this particular study towards documentation, and finally we need to make sure there is if there is benefit arising, we need to share back to the community. Okay. So another agreement that is additional to the CBD is Nagoya Protocol. So the scope is also genetic resources, traditional knowledge, and access to the benefit sharing. So in short, ABS. So the three obligation by all parties, we need to once you access to the knowledge or you access on the genetic resources, the benefit sharing, the benefit arising must be shared, and we need to follow a compliance. So this one entered into force in 2010. So that's Nagoya Protocol. There is already 86 countries so far. So in order to Malaysia become the party, Malaysia has to enforce an ABS national law. So ABS national law currently it's actually we already enforced ABS law back in 19 December 2020. So in 2017, Malaysia has enacted the ABS law to implement the CBD and any protocol to the convention dealing with the access to the biological resources and traditional knowledge associated with the biological resources and sharing of the benefit arising from the utilization. So I keep on saying traditional knowledge, benefit sharing, and utilization of the genetic resources. That is meaning to say it is a country interest that we need to protect TK and to make sure that benefit arising be shared back to the community. Okay, how it's going to work? See, when you this is the general concept of ABS or access on a benefit sharing. So first and very important thing is the genetic resources or the biological resources. We can found it in situ or ex situ, and then from the genetic resources, there is traditional knowledge involved where community use the genetic resources in the medicinal properties. Then what we us, our university researcher, we are actually a user of the knowledge and genetic resources. We develop a technology, and the technology will go to the will become commercial and to the user in the form of commercial and non-commercial. If there is benefit arise from the process, the benefit need to share back to the community. So despite is in either form of royalty, monetary or non-monetary benefit. Both benefit need to be shared to the community back. If it involves genetic resources as well as traditional knowledge. Okay, so I'll share some FRIM initiative in traditional knowledge documentation. One of the big projects that we conduct in FRIM is comprehensive documentation of TK associated with medicinal and aromatic plants in Peninsular Malaysia. Okay, our project involve two groups. First is Orang Asli in Peninsular Malaysia, and another one is Malay traditional practitioner. For today's presentation, I'll be focusing on Malay traditional practitioner. Okay, so it's a comprehensive process or method that involved in this project. We employ two approaches. First approach is in a written documentation, and another one is from oral process. So from the written process, the next presenter will talk more in detail on how we go about it. I'll be focusing on the oral process or oral approach, where we met the local Malay practitioner one by one, face to face, to document their knowledge on the medicinal and aromatic plants that they use in their livelihood. So the first process, we need to obtain a prior informed consent. We need to get their approval before they can share their knowledge. So that is the very important parts of the process of documentation. PIC, what we do, our first project started way back in 2014, where we did census of Malay traditional practitioner all over Peninsular Malaysia, and then we focus on selected practitioner. We did another PIC or prior informed consent. The selected 358 practitioner, we focus on their knowledge only, because this practitioner, we thought of they have a vast knowledge on medicinal and aromatic plants. So then we go on to the PIC 3. There's 3 level of PIC or prior informed consent, and then we did a collection of the plants together with the practitioner. Again, then the next steps will be the preparation of herbarium specimen. These steps involve some trainings or some technology transfer. This is one of the non-monetary benefits shared to them, where we teach them how to prepare the herbarium specimen, and then we bring back the specimen or the plants to our lab to did some identification to make sure to get the correct species before we document the species that will be used by them in the books or database. That what the last process is documentation of the Malay TK. So apart from that, we did also have a statistic of Malay traditional practitioner, a collection of artifacts, apparatus and manuscripts, and then the establishment of Malay traditional medical apparatus collection that I'll be shared later on in my presentation. And then there will be a documentation of apparatus used in traditional Malay medicines, a collection of germplasm, and finally, we also document the socio-economic background of Malay traditional practitioner. Okay? So just to share with you some pictures, how we conduct the study. So that's what I mentioned just now. What we did is survey. We did face-to-face interview with the Malay traditional practitioner. As you can see from the pictures, we go to see them, we communicate with them, we stay with them. It's a very interesting study. The Malay, the old practitioner, the practitioners is actually elder. So they like to share their knowledge, because sometimes their children did not interested to know about it. So when we come, it's like someone interested to know about their knowledge. So they share very a lot of information. Then what we do, we gather all the information, and then after that, we did a plant sample collection with them. We go to the forest with them. They show us the medicinal plants that they use, and then we collect some specimen for identification purposes. So just some example, we went to Gunung Jerai, we went to Jerantot, we also went to Kelantan. The project involved throughout Peninsula Malaysia. That means we cover all country in Peninsula, all states in Peninsula Malaysia. Okay, I mentioned just now the importance of PIC before start of the project. We need to have this PIC. We need to make sure they sign the PIC, because sharing of the information, sharing of the knowledge must get approval from the owner of the knowledge. So what we did, we prepare a prior informed consent so-called letter or so-called forms. They need to sign. This is the proof that we need to show that we get the approval from the from the holder of the knowledge itself. Okay. The another approach is a written approach. We actually focusing on the Malay manuscript or kitab tip. So currently, there is more than 100 Malay medicinal manuscripts on medicinal plants that have been identified. So 40 of the collection in our National Library. So others will be in other country. So, but this approach of the documentation will be shared by second presenter today. Okay. Just to recap some of the process through the using the manuscript, the process called transliteration, and we did some analysis of the process from throughout the process. What we did, the old manuscript, we transliterate to Roman script, and we make a sub-analysis before we identify the plant use and the processing of the materia medica. Okay, so I guess I've come to the most important parts of the project. So the outcome of the project. So currently, until now, FRIMs have already interview or not interview. We have already identified 2,934 Malay traditional practitioner out of 495. 497. Oh no, sorry. We have census 4975 practitioners, and out of that, 2934 involved, and 358 were comprehensively surveyed. From the 358 surveyed, we managed. Later on, I'll explain. And we have documented their so-called TK on medicinal plant. We have already documented 2,144 herbarium specimens so far on the medicinal plant from the Malay traditional practitioner. Apart from that, we also collect 165 traditional Malay artifact apparatus, and is already in the Museum of Bioperubatan IMR. And then out of 2,144 specimen prepared, we document 634 medicinal plant. It shows that a lot of medicinal plant species being used by the traditional Malay practitioner. 634 has already been identified, and we already published it in a book. And that is the effort of what FRIM do in document it to make sure it's not just lost like that. So we also did some collection of germplasm to get up until now. There's already 844 germplasm being collected and planted in Taman Ethnobotany FRIM. Apart from that, we did transliterate 5 kitab tip, and to date we have already published 13 books, and the database we have already shared with the my IPO. They call it my TKDL. Yeah. Just to share the museum pictures of Museum Bioperubatan in IMR. So that is how they display the apparatus. So today we have to date we have 165 items. Okay. So just this is our germplasm conservation in Taman Ethnobotany FRIM. That's what I mentioned just now. Okay. And the publication, I guess probably some of us are already familiar with some of the publication. 1, 2, 3, 4 jilid of the Khazanah Perubatan Melayu seller book in FRIM. So we can those who are interested to know more about the medicinal plant, what we document is actually a primary information. We interview a primary information that we put all that in the books. So around 600 species already in the books. So you can get it from the bookstores of FRIMs. Other than that, we have books on kitab tip that what I said just now, transliteration process, social economy profile, as well as statistic of the Malay traditional practitioner. Okay, just to share some outreach program that we did to show how we go about towards the benefit sharing approach. This is just monetary benefit sharing. What we did, we bring books that we publish, we give to the owner of the TK. See, the Malay practitioner, we went to Perlis, we shared the books with them, and we went to Negeri Sembilan. We go outreach, we go to see them. They are very interested. We are very happy to see that their names we listed in the books, and they're very excited to see their knowledge being documented and published in the books. See? Another outreach program, we're focusing on what we call is a documentation bank or workshop with the pewaris or the inheritance of the knowledge, to make sure that the knowledge is not just degrade or lost like that. We need to have so-called someone who can inherit it. I mean, like so what we did, we conduct an outreach program together with groups of younger generation. We share the information, we share the knowledge to make sure it's still there. What happened throughout the project, we experience on losing these old folks. Means when we did census back in 2014, there's a group of there's a big numbers, but up until now, actually quite a numbers. We don't. I mean, they passed away throughout throughout the years lah. It is kind of losing on information. If you don't document it before, so it's a loss to the country. Okay. So just to share juga, just to share. Later on, our next presenter will be more focusing on this. We did some capacity building program. or we call workshop on transliteration of Malay medical manuscript with the experts on the transliteration of process. Okay. Okay, I think I come towards the ends of sharing of today. Uh, uh, just to share, just to highlight the benefits of this project. The benefit of doing documentation is to prevent, to prove or the novelty or the prior art, and to make sure we can prevent biopiracy, misuse, and misappropriation, and to get the benefit sharing, where we follow a BS Act, whether regardless in the form of monetary, in the form of training, authorship, etc., etc. So we produce a reference materials in the form of publication, database, herbarium specimen, apparatus, as well as germplasm. A conservation of TK. This is a very important part that to the country. So the conservation always in the form of books, database against the raising of awareness, inculcate the interest of the youngsters with regards of the TK, and in a long-term process, this is also one of the contribution on the development of herbal industry. When we discover a new knowledge, and we can come up with a new products based on the new knowledge. This is going to boost the economy on the herbal industry. So finally, of the most ultimate aim is actually to demonstrate Malaysia's commitment towards CBD as well as Nagoya protocols. So as a conclusion, the continuous initiative on documentation and R&D of TK or traditional knowledge are needed because of its economic potential values, risk of loss of heritage and knowledge, the need to conserve and preserve the biodiversity, and TK itself to help to prevent misappropriation and biopiracy. And finally, we can it also can contribute to the other intangible attributes. With that, I'd like to acknowledge Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security, the JPSM of Forestry Department of Peninsula Malaysia, this Natural Library of Malaysia, Herbal Consultation, and all traditional practitioners that involved in this project. Finally, I will thank you. I'll end the presentation. I shall pass this to the moderator.
Thank you, Dr. Fadzureena, for the interesting talk on the overview of the importance of traditional knowledge, Malaysia's obligation to the Convention of Biological Diversity, the Nagoya Protocol, and the enactment of the Access Benefit Sharing Act, which is very, very important for us to protect our traditional knowledge, and in return, the efforts made by the government as well as the agencies mentioned by Dr. Fadzureena in order to share back to the communities in outreach programs, for example, the Inheritance Program. If there are any questions that you would like to ask her about her presentation, kindly post the questions or submit it to the link provided in the YouTube channel. Next, I would like to introduce our second speaker for today, which is Puan Ida Farah Ahmad. She is the Senior Research Officer from Integrative Health Information Unit. She has a Bachelor Biological Conservation, Botany, and her area of expertise is focused on Malay traditional knowledge documentation and Malay traditional medicine manuscript transliteration. She is currently involved as a technical committee for the comprehensive documentation of Malay traditional knowledge on medicinal plants in Peninsular Malaysia, and also the focal point for the access benefit sharing in National Institutes of Health. Most of her publications are also peer-reviewed journals as well as books. Okay, without further ado, it is our great privilege to have Puan Ida Farah with us to share her research experience with her presentation title, scientific appraisal on ethnobotanical knowledge wealth from traditional Malay medicine manuscript transliteration. Over to you, Puan Ida Farah. The screen is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Terence, for the kind introduction. Assalamualaikum and a very good morning to everyone watching this webinar. My name is Ida Farah Ahmad, and I'm very honored to be here to be given this opportunity to present on the scientific appraisal on ethnobotanical knowledge wealth from traditional Malay medicine manuscript transliteration. Okay, this will be the content of my presentation. HMRC IMR is a collaborating agency within the comprehensive documentation of Malay traditional knowledge on medicinal plants in Peninsular Malaysia project. IMR is in charge of traditional Malay medicine artifacts and apparatus collection and exhibition. So like what was mentioned by Dr. Fadzureena a while ago, the traditional Malay medicine gallery is situated in IMR Biological Museum in IMR Jalan Pahang, and it was established in 2016. So our main role in the project was the collection of artifacts and apparatus used by the traditional Malay medicine practitioners in the preparation of remedies, which include ingredient collection, measuring tools, treatment delivery tools, and also storage methods used in their practices. So the museum exhibits the artifact collection as one of the outputs of the project. Okay. What are traditional Malay manuscript? It is a representation of different aspects of traditional Malay life. So traditional Malay medical knowledge is primarily documented in old handwritten Malay manuscripts and is predominantly written in Jawi. So traditional Malay manuscripts may contain and consist of subjects, topics, or areas that are essentially represent traditional Malay life. Okay, and it's widely known as Kitab Tip. So traditional Malay medical knowledge has been facing the threat of extinction as younger generation lack interest or exposure to the existence of such documents. The documentation is traditionally characterized as handed down or shared knowledge orally to descendants or students of the practitioners. The manner in which the knowledge and information is related to the practice is recorded and stored is predominantly in unpublished handwritten notes in the form of personal notebooks, journals, or inventory, and it is essentially defined as traditional Malay manuscript. So if you look at modern medical sciences, it stems from traditional knowledge derived from recorded historical practices of traditional medicine, and modern scientists took it up to scientifically proving its efficacy, toxicity, safety, and eventually taking it further to clinical trials. So likewise, similar processes were applied in traditional medicine. It's not typically a modern scientific method, but they do also use the method of testing the efficacy and safety, doing assessment, and carry out using trials and through their own experimenting. Okay. According to the definition by Reference Center for Malay Literature, Dewan Bahasa and Pustaka, transliteration linguistically means the conversion of letters in the form of words, etc., from the alphabet of a writing, for example, Arabic writing, to letters that correspond to in sound, meaning it sounds the same but in different writing, in the alphabet of another writing system, such as Roman. So you transfer from Arabic writing to Roman writing without losing the words, okay, the meaning. So the purpose of this research and transliteration activities is for the preservation, conservation, and dissemination of traditional knowledge. Okay, how did we IMR come aboard to the study of traditional Malay manuscript? Okay, one of the project activities are traditional Malay medical manuscript transliteration, and as mentioned by Dr. Fadzureena, several manuscripts were transliterated and published under this project. So the one of the activities within this project is introductory workshop on manuscript transliteration for collaborating agencies, meaning that the other agencies under this project are exposed to the transliteration process of this kitab tip. So the workshop guided the participants in manuscript transliteration process and also skill building, meaning give more experience for us and exposure to the to kitab tip and the Malay medical manuscript. Sorry. So the training was done. Members were acquainted to and were given training in manuscript transliteration by the late Dr. Harun Makpiah, who is a renowned philologist, and also Dr. Abdul Ghani Hussein, the late Dr. Abdul Ghani Hussein, a medical doctor with keen passion in herbal medicine research, and they are both experts engaged in the project. Okay, the objective of this review is to review the process and requirements to produce a good transliteration of a traditional Malay medicine manuscript. So a little bit about this project background. This review was based on our involvement in working on 3 transliteration projects, namely the manuscript ID is MEL 090KIT 077763, which is a researcher's personal collection, and the other 2, MSS 1991 and MSS 3022, are from Malaysia's National Library collection of manuscript. So each of these manuscript is currently at different stages of their publication process. So the first 2 are at the editing and review by the expert stage, and the last one, MSS 3022, is only at the first draft of harmonization process. So having said that, this review will only have access to the parts that we are working on for each project, and not the full document per se. Okay, there are 4 stages involved in this process of romanization, but it is not limited to this order. Okay, the researcher reads and attempts at understanding the main idea of the manuscript. This reading process may need to be repeated to familiarize with the style of language, the text script pattern, handwriting, and the special styles of that particular manuscript. And after you have read the manuscript, and at the same time actually you transcribe what you read into Roman text, during the reading and transcribing process, uncertain or illegible words are marked and recorded. So with acceptable level of fluency and accessibility to reference resources, researchers make a scientific name search for plants and animals mentioned in the formulations. So at any point of the transcription process, the researcher are open to refer and discuss with other project team members or consult with the project team leader as we go on along reading the text. And at the same time also, the self-checking and making corrections can be done based on the ongoing discussions. In the transcription process, researcher also exercise the scan, crop, and paste activity. So firstly, the snipping and copying and pasting of prayer verses or verses of the Quran. These parts of the manuscript we do not transcribe. Okay, so we just copy and paste the original form of the verses. And the next one is the snipping and pasting. What is done to generate footnotes for matching scientific names and of animals and plants mentioned in previous earlier parts of the manuscript, meaning the people who did the earlier part of the manuscript will have a reference. We can refer to the, can be a reference to the subsequent pages researchers to name the plants or the animals. And also the snipping is done to for further discussion and reference of uncertain words. Words that you are not sure, you paste it in the footnote. Okay, the next part of the methodology is proofreading, refining, and editing. The first draft is the result of transcription, identified plant and animal scientific names, and snippets of unsure words or ingredients. The draft may be submitted to the project leader for compilation and checking, or another method that we use is to compile and discuss the whole manuscript in a workshop with the whole project team, and to produce a harmonized second or subsequent drafts of generic terms and species names, and interpreting unsure words are carried out. And finally, the transcription is to be the whole document is formatted, adjusted, and refined, and be edited by and also reviewed by language and subject matter experts appointed and identified by the project leader. Okay, we go to the result of the. This is not a typical research result. Okay, a result. As the result of those activities that we carried out, the manuscript primarily detailed the ailments or health issues mentioned in the manuscript. They also itemize ingredients and specify formulations for those ailments, and also the treatment methods and delivery methods. Okay, and at the same time, we also unidentified plant or animal scientific names are also identified. Okay, but most plants and animals vernacular and scientific names are actually identified in the process. Okay, the third finding that we get is for unreadable words or unclear or incomplete text. These are mainly due to the copy quality. Sometimes we only get photostated or snapped photo of the actual page, or maybe the manuscript has been through water damage or has been torn due to its age, and also smudged inscription because the ink that they use may be prone to be smudged because of water damage or such things. Also, we encounter unfamiliar or multi-meaning terms. Sometimes a term is used in one place is as a plant, but in another place it's not a plant. It's a material, or it's another form of element. So we have encountered those issues also. And lastly, the term of vernacular names is used for more than one plant. The same name is used for more than one plant in different localities or different states, or different plant. The same plants have many names. So that is also the issue that we faced as a result of the the transcription. So addressing the unreadable word issue, we need to do more in-depth referencing. Okay, researcher made a research based on information or connection of use with other ingredients. For example, if the partially illegible potion formulation mentions wound healing, and the search is we do a search focusing on plant that heals wounds and find the closest spelling wise, meaning that we look at the unsure words and we encounter. Okay. So the next step is scientific name identification of identified vernacular or local names of plants and animals mentioned in the text. Search and cross-reference using multiple reliable authenticated sources of reference, be it hard copy reference such as books or journals, and also electronic online internet sources. For example, the Malaysian Biodiversity Information System, MyBIS, or World Flora Online for plant species identification. So these are the examples. That is what we have discovered and discussed for this transliteration process and activity. So from this experience, we encounter these limitations faced by a researcher during the transliteration project activity process. So we actually have limited time and access or resources to relevant references for more thorough review, because some of the references is not available in just any library or just any online resource. It may sit or be available only at a personal or a practitioner's personal collection, so it's quite difficult to have access, or it could be in other countries like mentioned by Dr. Fadzureena. So, and also the lack of experience in being involved in transliteration projects, because this is kind of new for us. And also we discovered that we have the moderate ability to read Jawi, and lack familiarity of the Malay language, style and spelling of that time period. As you know, in any language, spelling evolves. And mind you that these manuscripts could age more than 100 years. So the evolution is inevitable. So we that is the issue that we encounter during this process. Okay. So in conclusion, it can be established that the review unveils the requirements to effectively carry out a transliteration of traditional Malay medicine manuscript. Firstly, you have to have a fair ability to read and have adequate knowledge of Jawi language and writing. Having scientific knowledge or having a science background is an added advantage. And also you will have to possess the familiarity with dialects of different states, because we have encountered that certain words that is not familiar to any of us because it's only spoken in one part of Malaysia, such as the East Coast. So we have to have a very varied team members to cover all those aspects. And also it is also critical to have access to relevant reference resources. As a final conclusion, okay, a study of this nature necessitates the involvement of researchers from a variety of expertise and academic backgrounds, okay, to deliver the accurate and meaningful transliteration product to benefit everyone of interest in this kitab tip and transliteration product. I believe that is all I have to share for today's session. Okay, I welcome questions and discussion points from the audience, and thank you for your attention, and back to you, Mr. Terence.
Thank you, Puan Ida Farah, for the insightful presentation. So now we understand one of the methods written approach under the comprehensive documentation, which involves the Malay transliteration process, and also the challenges that they face, such as the different dialects, the getting the further referencing, and also getting the experts that is able to interpret the documentation. This shows actually, even doing such transliteration requires a lot of expertise from various agencies, and also the importance and efforts made to refine, proofread, and also edit the document to give proper information to our community. We will now be moving to the question and answer session. Please do not hesitate to send us questions using the link provided in the YouTube channel. I will try my best to connect you to our distinguished speakers through the posted questions. Nevertheless, should the time does not permit us to address all your questions, our speakers will try their best to answer the questions through email. Moving to the first question, I would like to ask, what did the owner of the knowledge receive in return of their sharing during the study or sampling? We got this question from Ashura. I would like to pose this question to Dr. Fadzureena.
For the question, okay, for the receive in return of their sharing, what did the owner receive? Okay, throughout the study, we did prepare some token in return to their income loss, something like that. But it's a small token every per day when they or following the the day that they spend with us. So we pay them some amount according to the day. As for the study, if involved in the study, if it's a long-term benefit, that will be later on, I guess. That's all, the answer. Back to the moderator.
Thank you, Dr. Fadzureena, for your response. So basically what Dr. Fadzureena is saying that there will be some incentives by in the form of a monetary to the practitioners that they do conduct the study or sampling, but of course it's based on a daily rate or something that has been decided. Okay, moving to the next question. This is a comment of a very interesting field. I want to know whether the process of transliteration require the involvement of a language expert. This is from Nuvo. I will pass this question to Puan Ida Farah.
Thank you, Terence, and thank you, Cik Nurul, for the question. Yes, definitely we need to have a language expert in the process of transliteration because, as I mentioned just now, these manuscripts or these kitab are written in the language that is kind of ancient to our modern Malay language that we learn in school and we use today. So we have to have a language or people who studies language and studies linguistics to be part of the project to assist us in understanding some of the patterns and some of the styles and also terms that might not be familiar to us in the modern language. I hope that answered the question, and I pass it back to Mr. Terence.
Thank you, Poinda, for your response. So it is very important to have a very suitable linguistics expert so that it can be cross-checked with the subject matter expert to make sure that the information that is refined or being proofread is correct. So now I'll move to the third question. Again, the same comment, very interesting talk, Dr. Fadzureena. May I know if all these medicinal plants documented is well preserved in Malaysia forest today? So I'll pass this question to Dr. Fadzureena.
Thank you, Mr. Fu, for the question. It's a very big question, I guess. So, first thing I'll like to focus, the documentation is based on the books itself now and as well as database. However, in the Malaysia forest, we need to consult JPSM or more other agencies to make sure that it's well preserved in the country, in the forest. It's not an easy process. It's a long way, but we are actually towards that. Working towards that to make sure that the plants that we document, the interesting plant, should be preserved in Malaysia forests. I guess that is all I can answer for this question. I pass to you, Mr. Moderator.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Fadzureena, for your response. I'm afraid that is all the time we have today for the question and answer session. I know there are many in the audience have posed additional questions. It will be answered by the speakers through email. Okay, we hope that this webinar has shed some light on the research work and also the efforts by the respective agencies and government in preserving and conserving traditional knowledge practices. Okay, that is conducted by Forest Research Institute Malaysia and Institute Medical Research as part of the collaborating agency, and will spark the interest among the researchers to initiate research collaboration with us. Ladies and gentlemen, now we have come to the end of the webinar session. I would like to thank all the audience and also all participants for your attention and support to make this session successful. Again, do not forget to subscribe to our National Institute of Health Malaysia YouTube channel. We thank you so much for your support. Okay, before I conclude, I would like to humbly request everyone to mark their calendars as the next session of the IMR-SEAMEO Webinar Series session with the theme Sweetened Science, Impact of Sugar on Adipose Tissue will fall on 28 June 2024. Do join us. Until then, many thanks from all of us at IMR. Take care and stay safe.